Hello and welcome to the Car, Sim and Race Driver Show. With me, Hugh Hattrick, and my very special co-host today is none other than Andrew Marr.
Hello everybody. Hello.
Now, I jokingly said in my previous video that I did today, which isn't in the description, but you can still see it on our channel, that it's been such a quiet week. Hardly anything has happened in Formula One. And pretty much everything has happened this week. After, I think what was quite a good opening race, wasn't it? I mean, I have to say, when we did our commentary on it, it's done pretty well. It's been listened to many times already. We're very pleased with the results of that. Over 50 listens to our podcast just in the last day or two.
Some positive comments about it as well, didn't we? So
no, definitely, definitely, it went well, and it was quite interesting that Hamilton did not win, and the man that you had nominated, Bottas, was right there. Yeah.
That race, the controversy in my mind, there's like so many, there's so much.
Yeah. Terrible reliability.
Reliability was awful.
Yeah.
How often do they have to bring the safety car out?
Yeah,
I mean, if I was a cynic, you would say that they were deliberately. The only reason Albon was anywhere near them is because of the safety car, because they were disappearing off into the distance, those two, and Hamilton was faster. And of course, they had their massive reliability problems with these sensors that were being that were building up a huge amount of noise in their system, apparently. And they knew the curbs would do it, so they were slowing down because of that. But 4 safety cars?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
People spinning off and all sorts of stuff going on.
People spinning off. Vettel, of course, they're all going, oh, he's so awful, he shouldn't be doing stuff like that. But he's since said that the car he was happy that he only spun once. That's how bad the car was to drive. So what he's basically saying is that he managed to keep it together, apart from that one time when he went through. And again, they had a go at Vettel, but if you look at that incident, he's not trying to overtake. He's way back, and it's like whether he was caught out on the braking or whether it was so unstable on the back he couldn't brake as hard as he wanted to.
Yeah.
And then at the last minute, he kind of kinks that way. It's almost like you come across a bit of stationary traffic on the road, and then you go to the side to try and give yourself more room to brake. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And then he hit into Sainz, was it, and span. So I don't think it was as bad as people are making out.
No.
And then you get the penalty, Hamilton's penalty. And I just wish they'd be consistent with this nonsense. Make your mind up. Because if it was because he hit Albon, why didn't the 10 other people that hit into others in the race get penalties?
Yeah.
You know, and they're all going, oh, it's worse than Brazil. No, it wasn't. In Brazil, he went for a punt down the inside where he really shouldn't have.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Whereas in this one, he defended like they always do, and Albon came around the outside. Hamilton's like that, full lock to get round the corner. It washes out wide a little bit, and then Albon runs into his wheel, and they'll go, "Oh, that's terrible. He should have known better."
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's stop racing. I've got a brilliant idea. All 20 cars go out one at a time and drive for 2 hours.
Yeah.
There's no one in the way then. All right? They all drive for 2 hours, and then you time how many laps they do, and then that's the order. So they're never anywhere near each other. No racing is required. And, you know, is it racing or isn't it? Is it wheel to wheel or isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's one of these things, isn't it? That
in Italy, you get the Italians, the Ferraris getting no penalties, and they get a waved black and white flag as a warning. It's the only time it's ever been done, never seen again. But at the Red Bull Ring, note the name Red Bull Ring, when Lewis Hamilton and a Red Bull car come together, suddenly 5-second penalty. Boom! There you go.
It was a really difficult one to kind of, because I mean, a lot of people, I mean, in the end, I know that Martin Brundle had thought it's kind of a racing incident, but he did just tag Albon as he went out wide, and I just wondered, you know.
Well, no, he didn't. See, Albon drove into him.
he kind of drove around, but he kind of
He had an overspeed because he had so much more grip. So he comes round the outside, and if my thumb there is Hamilton's wheel, and that thumb there is Albon's wheel, if he was there, it would have been okay. But he was there, and he sped up, boom, and hit it, and tagged him round.
Yeah.
What everyone's saying is that Hamilton shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have tried too hard to keep the corner or do whatever he did.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't drive into him. He didn't. He drove round the corner and he understeered a little bit and went wide.
Yeah.
But not.
I'll tell you what, mind you, I was watching the last 2 laps of Lando Norris's race.
Yes, I saw that.
He managed to get under the 4.8 seconds, say under the 5-second gap. So he got.
He made up like 2 seconds, didn't he? It was like 6 seconds, and
all of them, mind you, the race is incredible. When you look at the onboard, it's spectacular because they hardly. I mean, maybe it's the sound difference or whatever, but it seems like they're hardly slowing down for some of these corners. And the grip that they must have, and the confidence in the cars. They're just driving. You see them turn in, and it just glides in. And even these big hairpins and dodgy corners where Albon and Hamilton came together. That bit is notorious for understeer going out and being horrible to drive out of.
Yeah.
And yet it still go in, and it just drives out. And if
you touch the curbs there, it's snapping wings, isn't it? It snapped wings on Friday. Yeah. In practice, there were wings breaking. Every year they snap wings on those curbs. It's almost like they're crocodiles, Yeah,
they're quite bad there.
Aren't they?
So no, that was the thing.
And he got the fastest lap as well in a McLaren.
Aye. So no, it was great to watch, and I have to say I've actually ordered the new game. The Schumacher edition, so that should be coming in the next day or two. I'm going to try and do some work on that, and I might even broadcast it to see how I get on. I didn't manage to do it last week, but I'm going to try and do it this week, just to get an hour or two and get it broadcast because they've done quite well. I think it's quite fun. People quite enjoy watching folk try a new game to see how they're getting on and see if they're any good or not. But guess what? On this week's Gran Turismo, I've become a granddad, and I bought myself a Honda Jazz. But
you're racing a Honda Jazz, but they're quite an advanced car, actually. With all the.
It's the hybrid one, which is really quite good. And here comes hands. So it's quite good fun. But I haven't checked the times today, but on Monday night when I did it, I got a time that was only 6/10 off the top 10, and just 8/10 off the best in the world. I got a 35.9.
Very good. And you hadn't your little tweaks that you do. You hadn't put it on 0 aggressiveness or whatever. You had it on normal.
No, that's the time trial. That was on time trial, and that was
excellent. Well done. I haven't done
the races yet, but I'm going to try and do
well
some.
Done.
So I was really quite chuffed because it's very funny because it's like it's an old granny's car. And but similar, that was the car to do it.
It's fine. It's an old granny's car. Just because it's sensible and parks in easily because it's little.
Yeah, well, it's a good little car. It's a very good little car. But I was just really pleased that on top of this short circuit, which supports the news, I thought, could I get into the 35s? And I thought, well, I got into the 36s quite quickly, and then they were coming down and down, and I thought, you know what? If I could just get a few corners a little bit better, I'll have a chance. And I managed to put it together and got a 35.9. So I was really chuffed. So I reckon they always find a few tenths by the end of the week. So it's probably about a second and a bit away now. But at least it's not too bad for a grandpa to get in his Honda Fit, as they call it in Japan, and drive it right. But if I thought to get 6/10 off the top 10, it's pretty good in considering there's thousands of people that play it all around the world. And we'll see how it goes. And I also won.
No, you can.
I won a race in a set of course a competizione. At Hungary too. I got a first and a second.
Twisty track.
Yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. I changed my car. I drove instead of driving the Lamborghini, I went into the Bentley, which you would think is a horrible thing to drive.
I think you mentioned this the other day, didn't you? That the Bentley was much quicker than you thought it would be or should be.
Yeah, it's really good because Josh Martin drives the Team Parker esports driver for them. He did a lot of events, and actually that car was brilliant. So
have you seen Chris Harris? Chris Harris has driven one, a GT racing Bentley, Bentley Continental GT, because it's a 4 litre twin turbo, isn't it? V8.
Yeah,
that one, because there's the W12, and that's much heavier, but the 4 litre is what they use in the GT series, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's quite an interesting video because he found it pretty quick, actually.
Yeah, it's hilarious though, because on the first one I got a qualifying lap, I think I was second or third on the grid. I was third on the grid. That's right, the first race, and I got ahead because you have to do this rolling start. The guys in front just never went when they the guy, you've got a little person in your ear telling you go 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 when you go past the line. So I went and off I went, and I got past the two of them. I did a kind of Hakkinen. It was going to the lead. He overtook two people at Hungary one year or something.
No, it was at Spa. It was at the end of the straight. It was Schumacher and Zonda.
Or maybe it was Schumacher.
He was behind Schumacher, and Schumacher came along. I think Zonda in the back marker, and he went one way, and Hakkinen went round the other way and took them both. Which they keep going, oh, that's amazing. It shows what a brilliant overtaker he was. No, he did it once in his career. It's just like, okay, it was spectacular, but that's, it's like me hitting a bullseye in darts once by accident and being told I'm the world's best dart player. No.
So that was quite
But it was very good.
I got past both of them, and I rate myself completely coming into the first corner. So they got the positions back again. I went down to about 5th or 6th. But then I managed that people were just flying off all over the place. So I getting the second place. And it was quite a good battle. The last, say, 10 laps or 8, maybe 6 or 7 laps, it was nose to tail. So I thought that was getting me good consistency. And then in the second race, I started off on pole. And they got pretty close at the first corner. I just got my braking just right, and I got in there and I got round, and all I saw in my mirrors was carnage. It was everywhere. It was quite something. And then that was me. I had to do it. I got a drive through though because I made a penalty. I didn't do the rolling start properly, and I was too far ahead. I think, or I had to bring everything back. So but I still won, even though I had that. I had to go through the pits. But there was so much carnage, I was able to still win.
So are these the competitors? Is that the computer, the AI, or is it actually other people online?
It's other people online. It was only
right. So these are real drivers smashing into each other, getting all excited.
Yeah, and it's really hard. It's not easy. And we're all just kind of starting out. I've got an SA of 40, which is quite low, I think, overall. You need 70 to get into the GT, the longer multiplayer games. But similarly, you've got to play more of the single player games to get your skills up, and then they rate everything, how you drive. But it's quite hard because you got to make sure you put it at the right settings, so that they're aggressive enough to allow you to keep up with them, so that you've got a good battle, and then that improves your race driving.
Right. So if it's too easy, you don't get so many experience points.
Yeah. So it's quite good. And if you make it too hard, you
just lose. Okay. Well, it's good in a way, because it's developing your skill, isn't it? So as opposed to just trying to jump in at the deep end, so that's quite good.
And I have like really high aggressive ratings as well, and I put it up way too high one time, and it's impossible. I mean, they literally, if you're anywhere near, they kind of weave in front of you, and then they break, they cut you off. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So you've got to be quite careful. But it's great fun, though. It feels so much more immersive compared to Gran Turismo. But the big thing, and this is maybe something that people who are watching and listening might benefit from, if you do a lot of Assetto Corsa competition, and probably as well for Assetto Corsa, the old game, I think you'll be much better at Gran Turismo. Because every time I've come back playing Assetto Corsa, and gone on to the Gran Turismo races, I've done far better. I've got my times further down. I think it's because you don't get any of the aids in Assetto Corsa that you do in Gran Turismo.
Right, so you don't get used to it being easy. You've got to drive. Yeah,
no cones. You've got to do your own brake markers. You've got to be much smoother. There's no line on it. Or maybe there is, but it's normally turned off. So you have to do all, you need to find your line properly yourself. And so it's really good. So it's a much better game in terms of challenge.
Well, you've been enjoying it from the beginning, or you've sort of bigged it up since you first got it and said how good it was compared with Gran Turismo. More realistic as well. You're saying that the actual car, the handling and the driving is more intuitive.
Yes,
which sounds great.
And it sounds, the engines are amazing. They really do. They make it sound fantastic.
Okay.
But and I've now got it from my PC as well. So I downloaded it the other day for just 20 quid on from Steam, which is quite good. But so yeah, so I've got to go. And when I get the F1 game over the weekend, it's going to be totally different because they handle like a blancmange. So it seems like there's hardly any feel on my wheel when I do F1 2020. The same with 2019. So it's just like driving a boat because you've got no idea what's going on underneath. So it's, unless you fiddle with all the settings, right?
Well, that's a whole new level as well, isn't it? You've got the driving and then the setting up. I mean, how hard is it for the real guys? You know, because it's one thing to sit in your car, in your F1 car, your Hamiltons and your Bottas's and all this kind of stuff, and drive fast. But you've got to have it set up right, so you've got to have a good team around you to do it. But you've also got to be able to communicate with them. How do you tell them? I remember Brundle always used to say, Brundle and DC have both said when you hear the team radio and they go, "This car's rubbish," and they're like, "Yeah, why are you saying that?" They would say, "Why are you saying it like that? You're telling them nothing they can use. It's just like, it's rubbish." It's like when someone in a bad team, you get a manager go, "You've got to do better."
No.
Yeah, or maybe tell me exactly what it is that I'm not doing so well and how I can improve, and then maybe I can. But just, "You're rubbish, get better," try harder. So you've got to be able to communicate with your team to get them to set it up. Yeah. And was it Haas? It's a bit of a news from the week. Haas, the trouble they had last year with their car. It was fine in the first race and then awful every other time, and they had to reset to the original setup and the original car. Well, it turns out they had made a conscious decision to ignore the feedback from their drivers.
All right.
And they've done it because their data said it's better. So it's almost like Little Britain. Computer says no. The driver's getting it, goes, "It's rubbish, it's not driving well, there's no grip, or it's unbalanced," or whatever feedback they give. They go, no, you're wrong. What? Well, the computer says it's fine. Yeah, but we're driving it. Duh.
It's quite interesting. I was watching a clip of that last night of the Drive to Survive on Netflix.
Oh, right.
Total Wolf was talking to Victor Steiner. And I like Steiner. I think he's great. I think he's totally down to earth as it is. Brilliant.
Gunter Steiner. Stop whining.
I think Total Wolf is quite PC. He's quite careful what he says and the rest of it. And
he's controlled, isn't he? He's very.
Steiner is not he's the opposite, and he's always making jokes. And he keeps telling people they were going into some big meeting they had for the team bosses, and he basically said, "Yes, a load of shite." They all talk a load of crap.
Which is why we love him, isn't it? That's why we love him.
And then Total Wolf says to him, "Please don't say anything stupid while you're in there, will you?"
It's almost like two mates, the gobby one and the quiet one. Right. Don't make life difficult for me. But yeah, you're right. He's definitely a politician, Toto, isn't he? And it works. He knows how to work with people. He knows how to deal with people, doesn't he? So I suppose.
Now, the topic that is glaringly obvious that we really cannot afford to miss.
Is it that Vettel wasn't even offered a contract? Was it that?
Yeah, and he would go.
And he's not happy.
He would go back to Red Bull if he was given the chance.
But they won't, because they've already said they won't.
Yeah.
We've got Albon, we've got Verstappen, we've got nowhere for him to go, so we won't be offering him place, is what Christian Horner's actually said now.
Yeah. But no, it is your
it's not that one. Oh, okay.
Least predicted result, which was
when I said
going back to Renault, because you didn't think it was going to happen.
No, I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't.
And the funny thing is, you got it right on Bottas winning the race and doing very well, and I was quite off. I can't remember who I thought would win.
I think you said Verstappen or Hamilton.
Yeah, but just to be fair,
which could have happened. I mean, they gave him different tyres. Do you remember that bit?
Aye.
I wanted the other tyres. Understood, Lewis. Get on with it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. In other words, we don't want you to overtake Bottas because
the
the team's going to be at the front anyway. But let's just.
I wonder what will happen this Sunday, mind you, because it's number 2, and it's going to be
rain. It's meant to rain. Now, you factor that in, and that changes things, because really, who would you? I mean, I know Hamilton's got the past reputation for being good in the rain, but I keep remembering Germany last year, where he was as rubbish as anybody else.
Yeah, Verstappen is better in the rain.
Verstappen is better in the rain. Verstappen reminds me of Senna at 1993 Donington Park, better in the rain, doesn't he? Know? Brazil, where he's going around the outside of people, he's just like Senna did.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be.
I think the car can keep working.
Yeah, I think because Verstappen would definitely have been in that race if it wasn't for him for reliability. I think he would have been.
The flywheel broke. Something wrong with the flywheel. They know what it is now. They're trying to find out. Apparently, they're trying to find out what caused it so they can stop it happening again.
Yeah. But no, it's going to be interesting, and hopefully reliability will be a good bit better. Although there's not much they can do in a week, mind you. For a lot of these teams, if we've had a big hydraulic failure or an engine failure, it's going to be a huge amount.
Lockdown as well, that slows it even further, doesn't it? So
yeah.
I can't imagine they're getting a lot of sleep at the moment.
Now Jonathan has joined us too. As well as Ants, because he said, Alonso, why? He really needs to move aside. Having said that, it will be interesting to see how he does. Well, seemingly 2021 is going to be a building year, as they always say, and in 2022 will be the main.
Jonathan's missed what we said earlier about what I said earlier about Vettel going into that corner.
Hello,
Dresden.
In Berlin.
Guten Abend. Und wie geht es dir?
So that's the thing. Well, we need to talk about Alonso. You see, I think
Alonso, yes. You got that right.
Yeah. And when I said that to Will, poor Will Daniels, he was not impressed. I think the whole team at a certain French F1 team were similarly not wanting him to come. Well, that's what many of the engineers, I think, were potentially thinking.
They didn't want Alonso there.
The bosses have said otherwise and have brought Alonso back. And so, he's good. He's competitive. He's going to go for it. The car might get better.
If he can keep his gob shut and not moan about the car like he used to, and not pee too many people off in the process, he is very good at getting a lot out of a bad car. Yeah.
I mean, look how well Ricardo did until reliability put him out.
Oh, I thought that was hilarious. I just thought, that's brilliant because, they've laid into him. Cyril, a bit de boule, hello, has got out his Dupin and his garlic and he's shouted at Ricardo about not being loyal after sacking Sainz and Hulkenberg. No nothing hypocritical there.
No.
Ricardo goes between miles ahead of the French wonder Ocon.
Yeah.
It's you'll miss me.
Ocon really struggled. I was quite surprised at how
he did.
But now the crucial question: what kind of hire car has Jonathan got? Jonathan, you need to tell us.
In Dresden.
Well,
it'll be a Volkswagen, won't it? Or will it be a Skoda?
He should have asked for an upgrade. And that.
Oh, he hasn't got a Polo, has he? He's got one of those, tiny. He's got an Up. Is it what they're called? The Volkswagen Up. Oh, I can see him in one of those. That's even slower. That's even worse than that Honda Jazz you won in.
He didn't rent a car. He got a train. I thought you were a flat. Oh, you got a BMW. All right.
No, that's Ant says BMW.
Oh, sorry, a BMW. Yeah, normally, John gets a good car when he's.
Yeah, but the German trains are a lot better than the British trains. I've been on a lot of German trains, and it's a different world. It's just they turn up and they get you there, and it doesn't cost you a year's salary. It's amazing. It's almost like what's that thing? A public transport system.
Yeah.
Strange idea. I remember that we used to have one of those.
Yeah, and it's something else, isn't it? Eventually, we're going to be going back to Sinclair C5s. I think that could be reborn. Remember? Well, actually, if they put a Renault Twizy battery in a Sinclair C5, then it would be a great. Forget about cycle lanes. You could use that as a.
There is a major problem with that vehicle. It could be awesome. You come on a platform a week ago and it was correct. See?
Yeah. But you know.
So I've got in my mind, I've got Al Murray doing this whole big spiel, which was sarcasm, by the way, to anyone that actually thinks he's, bigoted and racist and all this kind of stuff, like some people stupidly thought he was. He was being sarcastic, talking about, was it these Germans with their efficiency? We don't need that. We've got British thinking. Yeah. Who needs companies that don't go bankrupt?
No, it was something. But when Boris Johnson was the mayor of London, he got the Boris bike. Remember there was that bike?
Yes.
And it worked out.
Yes, but this is my point. There's something that a bicycle has that a Sinclair C5 doesn't, and that's height.
Yes, that's true.
So you're driving a truck along and you feel this. What was that? And it was somebody on a Sinclair C5. That's what it was.
They used to have a flag. Remember a flag?
Oh, yes.
That's the thing. But
yes.
The batteries are better now, so you could put a Twizy battery. But anyway, going back to my point about the Boris bike, every bike cost something like, I think it was £9,000 each by the time they worked it out. Because they spent millions of pounds, tens of millions, putting these bikes everywhere.
It was a brilliant idea.
To give everybody a Twizy. They could have just bought a brand new Twizy for £6,000. You've got 40 miles radius and it's electric.
Electric motorbikes.
Yeah, John thinks
his e-scooter. Yes.
But you're only allowed to rent them. You're not allowed to buy them or use them. You've got to get from rented companies. But,
it's illegal on road and off. You can actually buy an electric bike from China. I watched this video of an American that imported an electric bike from China. Not bigger wheels, it just needs to be bigger, higher.
It could be a bit, if it was higher off the ground, that would be something.
You can't see it. It's like an ant, but not that, no. Yeah, and this guy had imported this Chinese bike. Basically, just didn't work. It's like when you buy something of a Wish, and it's a knockoff of something. Like you get like a, I don't know.
Yeah, all sorts of ropey stuff.
And you plug it in, and it goes. I've got a little speaker, little Bluetooth speaker, and it talks in a Chinese accent. It's amazing. You turn it on, it goes Bluetooth mode. It's got one mode, and I still don't know what it is because the instruction manual was all in Chinese, and this thing speaks with such a thick accent. I don't actually know what it's saying. Bluetooth mode, and you're like, I press the button 4 or 5 times just to hear it speak because it's funny.
It's like that when you get an IKEA thingy, isn't it? And the instructions are all black and white, and it says, "Please take the red piece and put it on the like everything is red."
See, this takes me back to the FSO Polonaise. My girlfriend and I, at the time when she was bought that car by her dad, when we were in Huddersfield Polytechnic many years ago, and I was passing my test, and of course I had to fix the thing. So I needed a manual, and they didn't do a Haynes manual for it, strangely. But in Bradford, there was an FSO garage, and we were there one day getting something for it, and I noticed on the wall they had the manual, and what it was whatever somebody had got the Polish manual, they'd got a Polish-English dictionary and translated it, very loose term, and then photocopied it off on a really bad photocopier 1,000 times and just stuck it all together, like with the clips. So I got that. And that was the same kind of thing. It was all black and white. You couldn't see anything on the pictures, and it was awful. The FSO dealer was awful, and it would say things like, "Place the initiator in the initiator port," and you're like, "Initiator port. What's that?" And then you look at the picture, and you go, "Oh, that's the key." Initiate the car or the vehicle, by it was one of these things where you're laughing so hard you can't read it anyway because it's just the stuff it was coming out with.
Well, we sat in the FSO way back at the Birmingham Motor Show 4 years ago. It must have been mid 90s, if not even earlier.
And that was the facelifted one then.
Yeah, and we went into the car, we shut the doors, and we pulled one of the plugs or one of the little switches, and it came right off.
Yes.
Right off I mean, it just went.
Well, that's nothing because when I was driving our FSO Polonaise, the gear stick used to come off. My now ex-father-in-law, he drove it one time, and he's driving it along, and it's a truck driver. He was actually a very good driver, and he just goes. Pushes it back on again and carries on. And then when we'd got married, we'd had it for about 6 months married, and all sorts of stuff started to go wrong on it.
Goodness me.
So we drove it, the gears were getting a bit ropey. And let me get this right. So if you put it in fifth and accelerated, it stayed in fifth, but the minute you lifted off, it popped out of fifth. If you put it in fourth, you had to hold it in fourth if you accelerated, or it popped out.
Goodness.
The starter motor also went, so we used to have to bump start it down the hill, but we lived on a hill, so that was okay. But then it did about 25 to the gallon, which isn't great. It took 4 stars, so it was expensive as well. We drove it. We didn't go through Wales. We normally did the A470, it was a great road, because after 8 or 9 o'clock at night, there was no petrol stations and there was no signal and mobile phones.
25 to the gallon, atrocious.
Atrocious.
Even in those days.
Yes.
I mean,
So we went the long way around and basically sort of the M6 and down and through Hay on Y and all this kind of stuff. But of course that meant we couldn't do it on a single tank, so we had a 10-gallon tank. So we had to stop for petrol.
About 3 times.
But of course, no, only once. Which meant you had to turn the engine off. So you've got, because she refused to do the sitting in the car thing. So me, 6'2", she's 5 foot nothing. She had to push the car to bump start it. And I'm getting dirty looks and all this. You make your wife do that? No, she's making me sit in the car. It started with those sort of 5 and almost 5 gears, and ended up with 1, and that was third. So it was just.
Jonathan's saying there's a brand new Lada Niva parked outside his hotel in Dresden, and he says it's so cool. And now, to be fair, I think you still can get them in some places. You can import them from Russia.
Soyuz uses less fuel than an FSO. T34. See, I think that the FSO Polonaise wasn't a Fiat at all. I think, in the same way that the Saab 9.5 is, they got the Vauxhall Cavalier and they got the Saab 9000, and they had sex and had an illegitimate child. That's what the Saab 9.5 is. In the same way, they got the Fiat 124. The original one, and a T34 tank. They had sex, and out came the FSO Polonaise, because it had military-grade steel armour, which is why it was so heavy, and it had that sort of. It did a similar sort of MPG to a tank, felt like a tank, drove like a tank, but it wasn't as reliable as a T34. It was reliable like a Fiat, so it had the worst bits of both, really. But I reckon you could have put a gun on the top of it and sold it back to. Well, sold loads to small countries in Africa as part of their army.
No, there's a thing here saying there's a new one.
A new one?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, I don't know.
No one's going to buy that. Everyone's buying SUVs.
Let's see if I can get that here.
Mind you, Lada Niva is an SUV. I'm an idiot. I was thinking the Lada Riva. Did I say Nada Lever? Oh, God.
Here's the Lada, a new Lada 4x4.
Go on then, share it. Do your sharing.
I'll see if I can get it here.
I think you can.
Well, there you are. I'm sure everyone in the world just wants to see this now.
The old Lada Niva was actually quite a good off-roader, because it was just an off-roader. It wasn't trying to be a lifestyle. Oh, that's hideous.
You changed your tune on that pretty quick.
Yeah, but it's because the old one was like a thing that you didn't matter. You could fix it with a hammer. That thing looks like it's trying to be modern.
I don't know what it's based on. Is it a Renault or some kind?
Well, that's your Renaults, your Dacias or Dacias as they call them these days. That's Renault.
So there's quite a. I'll go back to this one. I'll stop sharing that one, and then I will show you the picture, which is slightly better, which is a lot cooler, certainly, which is this one here.
It did look better looking than that Rolls Royce thing, or the Bentley.
Oh yeah, they made a van. Can you see that there?
See, that's a proper Niva. That's it.
The Bronto. Yeah, that's quite good. So there's lots of pictures.
That's a Lada Niva. That's what I call a Lada Niva.
Yeah, powered by probably like a 1.3 petrol or something. But it used to be so underpowered, they were terrible they're so slow.
Well, the original was a 1.6, but it wasn't 1.3, it was a 1.6. But it carburetor fed, it had 86 brake horsepower, but its compression ratio was very low. It was like 8.5 to 1. You could you could feed it with, I don't know, water, and it would burn it. You know, so you could go anywhere. You're in the middle of the Siberia. Yeah, I mean, you pour coal in it, and it will still go. But that was the idea. That's what you want. All these, I mean, air conditioning, useless if the car breaks down, in it, or the little plug, or the sensor because you go over a curb at the Red Bull ring.
There used to be a version called the Cossack. The Niva Cossack, which was like the special edition.
Yes, and it's white. They were white.
Aye. They were quite something. But even now, you just think put in a reasonable turbo diesel engine or something decent, and it would probably be quite a good.
Imagine one of those little 1 litre 3-cylinder turbos or something.
Yeah,
so it does.
But no, so it's quite interesting. But how on earth did we get from Formula 1 to Lada Niva? How did we get to that?
It's him. It's that Sutherland doing his German stuff. He's been infected. He's had a German beer. He's had a Dunkelbier or a Weizenbier. He's sat for half an hour waiting for some German with a big pocket on the front come up and say, "Und was ist? Was musst du trinken?" And he's going, "Huh?" Like that.
So to get back to Formula 1,
Alonso, go on, go for it.
I do think that he will try very hard. I do think he'll be quite competitive and probably get more out of the car than Ocon, which will be interesting to see. Yeah. And I think it's going to be competitive because the cars changed dramatically, but not so much next year, but 2022 now. They'll be doing that, so that's going to be pretty good. What do you think though about the race on Sunday? I mean, if it is supposed to be wet, then, as you were saying before, Verstappen might just be the one to watch.
I think Verstappen. I mean, you can never discount Hamburger. You can't discount him.
What about George Russell? Was he not quite good in the wet? And the Williams might help the Williams a little bit.
He would have got into the points. Yeah, if his car had not broken down after 3 seconds, he would have been in the points because Latifi nearly got in the points. I mean, there was a race of attrition going on there, but even so, he was doing really well. He qualified higher than both the Alphas. Had a poor start, but then he was making his way back up, and then the car just
about 12, was he not? Yeah, he was 13, 12 or 13 or something.
So, but then the car broke down. So I think he's seriously someone to watch. He really is. I think there's more evidence for his ability than there was for Leclerc before he went to Ferrari. And Leclerc did a really fine job on the weekend.
Second.
All that car is. He plugged away and ended up. I mean, it was a lot of them said it's like Lando Norris said. You know that they were helped by a lot of retirements, but he had genuine pace in that car.
He was good.
He really did, and he all the stuff that he wasn't doing as well last year, because he was qualifying well last year, but he didn't do so well in the races. And I loved listening to him talk about it. He was saying that he lost his rhythm and he went backwards and he Queen Latifah. And this somebody slap him.
What's Queen Latifah got to do with?
Nicholas Latifi. He's just.
Nicholas Latifi. Oh yes.
Yeah, just.
Him
and Anta banging off each other. They're both as bad as each other. Yeah, he was saying he lost his rhythm, but then he realised he'd lost his rhythm and he got himself sorted out and he came back and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, him, George Russell, Verstappen, yeah.
So, sorry, interruptions there.
Interruptions, typical.
So, what do you, sorry, can I have 2 seconds?
Yep.
What?
So, Dresden, eh? Oh.
I can't.
You got a train?
Who?
What? Why didn't you go?
Look, code. Your mum's thing.
All right, okay. That's it. This is always forget.
Okay.
You won't get that on the podcast, but you will get that here on the video. I'm leaving Andrew here to hold the show.
I'll hold. You carry on. You go and beat him up from me, would you? Yvonne, slap him or something.
I will write it here. Here I.
Queen Latifah. So yes, I think that the race on the weekend, viewers across the world and Germany and Birmingham, it was a very interesting race. It was a very controversial race.
But yeah,
£16. That's really good.
Train to Dresden. That's pretty good.
But is that £16 from your home, or was it £16 from like Bonn? Because that's slightly different, you know. Did you fly to Frankfurt Airport, you know, in your
I think it was Berlin.
little aeroplane?
I think it was Berlin that you got.
From Berlin.
Yeah.
So you went to Jammy Donut, and then you went to Dresden.
Yeah.
For those people, ein Berliner is also known as a Fastagskuchen or a Jammy Donut.
So I might be struggling to do the qualifying this Saturday, just with a few things that's on for the Grace for the qualifying round. But we'll definitely be there for Sunday. So if you're up for coming along as well, we will do the same and do it on Podbean.
We give it a go. Yeah.
If you're up for it, if you're about, we can do that. It worked the last time. I was explaining to Jonathan the other day how we managed to get it sorted, and I can't make that public. So it was.
No, it was sorted in a way.
Yeah. That you weren't able to see the action as it was happening.
Some of it, yeah,
some of it. So it was. So no, it'll be good. It'll be really good. Well, we've been going for nearly 45 minutes, just on 42 minutes there. So we will probably call it a night for our Thursday night live stream. But thank you very much. Well, Jonathan saying our race commentary was excellent, which is fantastic, which is always good to know. And we've had a lot of plays. It said already about 20 plays or something. The qualifying played away on then.
You worried so much, and he wants us to get James Rupert to promote it, and I say Rupert because you say it that way.
Yes, James Rupert. Yeah. No, that would be good actually. That would be good. We'll need to get that sorted out.
If you ever listen to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in the 5th radio series, okay, and you have aliens living on a little thing near Pluto called Persephone, which they call Rupert, and it's really funny. They go Robert, like that. You didn't need to know any of that.
No, that's fine. Excellent. Well, thank you to all our listeners and viewers who've been watching the Car 7 Race Driver Show, and it'll be coming out on the podcast again tomorrow, probably late tomorrow afternoon on Friday. And then, of course, we will do the live race round 2 from Austria this Sunday. So look out for that. It should be great fun. And I wonder who will win. I wonder if we'll be putting on a bet to see what happens.
Albon.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It'll either be Hamburger, Verstappen, or that other fella, Bottas.
Yes, yeah. No,
I think Bottas did a really good job. You know,
thoroughly deserved.
He kept Hamilton behind him. Honestly, you know. Then of course there was the dodgy bits with the tyres, where you think, okay, and then the dodgy bits where the Red Bull ring kept bringing out lots. Well, no, not just the penalties, lots and lots. Let's bring a safety car out. No. I actually watching the Channel 4 coverage. That the one where the brakes failed and it span.
Oh yes, yeah.
And they actually the DC or whoever it was said if they can get that crane that's like 10 feet away from it in there quick, they could do this under virtual safety car. Oh no, full safety car or double wave yellows or something like that. No, safety car. Every time they could bring a safety car out to bunch the field back up behind Bottas and Hamilton, well, to bring the Red Bulls closer in the Red Bull ring. And then when we go to all the Ferrari tracks, I mean Italian races, maybe they'll have the same kind of idea. Who knows?
What about Britain then? What happened?
Well, because we're idiots. we do fair stuff. You know, we like racing, and we're stupid.
Yeah. We wait in a queue. We actually wait in the queue.
Yes, we wait in the queue. We go, Johnny Gorgeous. Oh, we do like a good fight. Idiots. When we should just cheat more.
Well, on that note, you've been watching the Car 7 Race Driver Show. We'll be back for live coverage and commentary, or really it's commentary, not coverage. It's commentary it's commentary of the Austrian Grand Prix Round 2 this Sunday at 2:10. We should hopefully be live for about 2 o'clock onwards, and we'll cover everything, and hopefully we'll get the sound and everything working the way it should be from the word go. But thank you very much for watching and listening. Remember you can hit our website there, and if you really like us, you can subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much, and I'll leave it to Andrew for our motto.
Drive fast, but don't hit anybody from Red Bull and in a crash. Oh no, I should do it. Drive fast, but try not to crash into a Red Bull.
That's very good.
That's good. But it took me a couple of goes. You see, I'm no good at this spontaneous stuff.
Okay, bye just now.
Bye.